Our lesson today is going to be on rounding and estimating, 7th graders. We're going to start chapter 3. And let's go back and talk about rounding first. So these are the notes that you were supposed to copy on Friday. And it's a place value chart just up to the millions place. Okay? And then it goes to the all the way to the 10,000th place. Let's review first of all, what are the places beyond the millions place? What comes after millions? The group that comes after millions? Billions. Yep. And then cool. Trillions. Yep. Now, look at bi means 2, tri means 3. Do you know what comes after trillions? Yeah, it has you have the right. You said quadruples, not quite, but it has the word swan in it. Okay, well, quadrillion, and then 5. Not pence, but it's quintillion. Yeah, quintillion. Yep. So, million, billion, trillion, quadrillion, quintillion, and on and on and on. Right? Our numbers go on and on to infinity. And they go the other way, the same way. 10,000th place, and then 100,000th place, and then millionth place, and then 10 millionth place, and then 100 millionth place, and then billionth place, and so on.
Eventually, because numbers keep on going, what if we stop having for them?
We do. Correct. We do. Yep. And then pretty soon, so the names beyond that are just written in scientific notation. So, for example, a number that's beyond the nameable numbers, okay? A Google, I believe, is 1 times 10 to the 100th power. Okay?
I heard they I think at some point they started naming numbers after Google.
They probably have by now. Yeah. But there's 1 times 10 to the 150th power. And 1 times 10 to the 200th power, and so on. Okay? The exponent always tells you how many zeros there are behind the 1 in the place. So in the ones place, how many zeros are there? 0. And 1 times 10 to the 0 power, if it's 10 to the 0 power, then it represents the ones place. Okay? So let's go on and talk about estimating and rounding. When you're estimating, there are 2 goals that you need to keep in mind when you're estimating. Okay? You want to estimate so that you can do the math in your head, so you can use a mental math process, and get a somewhat close answer. Okay? There's one type of estimating we're going to specifically talk about that's called clustering. Clustering means that you round all of the numbers to the same number because they're all close to the same number. So if we rounded all of these to the first digit, called front-end estimation, they would all round to 800. 821 to 800, 813 to 800, 805 to 800, 786 to 800. So if we rounded them all to the same number, rather than adding them all up, you can multiply 800 times 4, and that equals 3,200. This process of running them all to the same number is clustering. Okay? let's go to your worksheet for today. The best way to work on estimating is just to do it, just to start. Usually when we're estimating using adding, subtracting, or multiplying, you're going to use front-end estimation. Front-end estimation just means that you're using the numbers in the front. So in the case of decimals, oh, yeah. All right, yeah. So in the case of estimating, right, please. So, there we go. Using front-end estimation, rounding, if you have decimals, that means rounding them to the nearest whole number. Okay? Or if we have numbers in the hundreds, rounding them to the nearest hundred. One of the things that you have to think about whenever you're estimating, stop talking, is to think about what the numbers is between. Okay? When you look at this first number, number 1, 5 and 743 thousandths. Whenever you're reading a number, remember that you read the whole number and then say the place of the last digit. So this is 5 and 743 thousandths. Now, 5.743, what whole numbers are on each side of that number? Bryce? 4 and 5? 5 is the lower one. So it's 5 or 6. Yep. 5.7 is going to be closer to 6. What's 8.2? In between. It's between 8 and 9. And it's closer to 8. So we're going to round it first. 6 plus 8 is 14. Very simple. Okay? This is called front-end estimation. 73. Both of these numbers are in the in the tens. Okay? So 73 is between 70 and 80. What's it closest to?
70.
70. And 27 is between
20 and 30.
20 or 30. And it's closer to
30.
30.
Or you could do close combination and
40. It's negative minus.
It's 40.
Oh, who said what?
It's minus.
Your mom.
Oh, it's minus, you're right.
Ooh.
Dang it.
There.
You didn't see it.
Mario.
If we want a closer answer, why can't we just round from like the tens? Can't we round from the tens? That would make more sense.
Yeah, you could do that. Especially with 73 and 27, those two numbers work well because they are 100 when you put them together. Okay?
So then why?
So if you recognize that, that's fine. Remember our two goals that we talked about. Okay? If it meets both goals, then that's a good estimate. If you can do it mentally, you can do the math mentally and get a close answer, it meets both objectives. Okay? You don't want to round something so that you have to work it out with pencil, paper, or to type it into your calculator. If you're rounding it to those numbers and you can't do the math mentally, then you need to round it to simpler numbers. Okay?
Shut up.
Number 3.
Why is it?
Be quiet, guys. 3. Using front end estimation. 7.532 is closest to 8.
What?
And what's this next number closest to?
5.
Yep, 5. So we do 8 plus 5 is 13. Okay? Did you get it? What's 26.52 closest to?
37.
30 and 40.
Oh my gosh.
Nate!
I said.
That was just
That was
me.
me.
That was just me. That was just me. I just said 27.
So,
So it was just me. Don't give the classes.
okay, then be quiet. Okay, that's enough. It's like the third time then that you've been a part of this problem. Okay? So fix it. Come on, you guys. All right. So 30 plus 40. Let's go to clustering. What would you round all of those numbers to in number 7? What are they all close to as far as the same number? What's in between all of those? Lydia? 10? That'd be a good estimate. We run them all to 10. Some of them are a little higher than 10, some of them are a little lower than 10. So 10 is a good average, you might say. And then 10 times 4 equals 40. And that's what I want you to write on the line. Because clustering involves rounding them all to the same number and then multiplying. So then write down 10 times 4 is 40. Number 8. What would you round all those to?
50.
To 50, yeah. And then what would you write on the line?
50 times 3. 19.
Raise your hands. How about this one? Raise your hands. Brett.
120.
120. And then we could use what number to multiply?
Why do you just have 12 for the last one?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was thinking 12 because we can multiply 120 by 3 if we multiply 12 times 3 and then add a 0. So, Brett?
It would equal 360.
Yep, 360. How about the last one? Round them all to, what number is it in between? To 10? They range from 5.9 to 8.2. What's in between 5.9 and 8.2? 7. If we round them all up to 10, we're not getting a very good estimate. We want to get a number that's in between them. So 7 times 5 is a way to cluster those numbers. Okay? So it talks about using front-end estimation in the first section, and that's rounding the numbers to the nearest 1 in this case, the nearest 100 in this case, nearest 10 in number 5, Estimating by clustering, that is rounding them all to the same number and then multiplying. What about rounding to the underlined place? Let's review that again. How do you round something to the underlined place or the indicated place? So in this case, rounding it to the nearest tenth. Roy?
You see what the number to the right is, and if it's bigger than, if it's 5 and bigger, then it's one more than it was.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot like thinking about what number this is between. It's between 6 and it's between 7. But in this case, we're talking about it's between 6.7 and 6.8, because that's the indicated place. It's 6.7 is the number that it's closer to. Okay? Or, like Roy said, you look at the number to the right. If it's 5 or higher, round it up. If it's 4 or less, round it down.
Turn it down?
Yep, round it down to 6.7 or 6.70. Because 73 is between 60 and 70. Come on, man. All right, then in the last section, estimate and state your method. Front-end estimation, clustering, or rounding to the nearest whole number. Okay? Front-end estimation and rounding are pretty much the same thing. It just says rounding is referring to just the nearest whole number, like the number 22, whereas front-end estimation is where you just use the front number, the nearest 100 or the nearest 1,000.